Alright. Is it recording? Looks like it's recording. Hello. Okay. Got new desk mats and everything, no tea stains. Right then. Squeaky chair. So, what I'm going to be doing in this video is taking this bog standard KC-02, I believe it's the ASG version, so it's a version 2.1, and we're going to be doing the full conversion on this gun to a lever action, so using our underlever stuff and putting it into this Hogue OverMolded stock, which is rubberized, and I've kind of cheated a bit. I've already Dremeled out the areas inside that need to be Dremeled to make the KC-02 fit into this stock. So if I put this gun to one side, I have a nice tray of parts here, which hopefully will have shown in the thumbnail. Many shiny things. So we have an inner barrel, we have a solid state bolt, we've got a muzzle brake, we have the HOM Underlever, flamingo rubber, 3 barrel spacers, a new sickle mag release, a version 5 Genesis hop unit, some flow chokes and hop keys. We'll only need the hop keys. These are part of the these come with the Genesis kit. We'll only need the hop keys out of here. We have our new hammer spring, which is specifically for use with single shot converted guns, but it also works with semi-auto. And we've got these nice little linkage arms, which are part of the underlever kit. We've got a buffer pin, we've got some nuts and bolts that go with the underlever. We've got this clamp piece, which is also part of the underlever. That goes on there like that, forms the main pivot. We have a sear kit. We've got the new hop wheel, which is part of the Genesis kit with the engraving on it. We have a solid state bolt carrier, very nice. I think I've already said in a barrel. We've got the hammer damper, which is part of the trigger kit. We have the fang trigger, we've got a bolt stop, and we've got the bolt link, which again is part of the underlever. So we're going to be putting all of these into that KC-02. So get the mag out, put that to one side, and start stripping the gun down. So we can take out all the stuff that we don't need and get the parts ready. Standard stock, apart from that bit, and just had the rails removed. Obviously not going to need this anymore unless you want to go back to the standard stock. We are going to be making an underlever specifically for this standard stock. We called it the KC Underlever, which you'll see soon in our promo video. So I'm going to put this to one side, we don't need this anymore. And then we're going to separate the trigger mat, take the 2 pins out. Trigger mat, and pull that back, take the bolt carrier out. We've got a standard bolt assembly. We're not going to be doing anything with this standard bolt assembly in this video because this is only for semi-auto. We've got plenty of other videos where we work on the bolt assembly to turn it into a RogueWorx bolt assembly like this one, with a Genesis nozzle and a Kim Forney piston in there, and lots of other good bits. You can just refer to our other videos if you want to see that side of this. We're just focusing on the bolt action conversion. So drop the bolt assembly in the spares bag. We're not going to need that again. And this body screw for the standard stock is only 20mm long. Most aftermarket stocks will need a 25 or even a 30mm body screw, so this one's a 25, which will fit the Hogue stock that we're putting this gun into. So I'm going to put this 20mm screw into the spares bag as well. What else? We're going to be changing the charging handle, so it's a good time to remove that. And we're going to be changing the hop wheel as well. So we get rid of the standard hop wheel. This one I can see has already had the solder mod done to the end of it. Quite badly, I might add. It's not exactly round. Okay, so we'll drop standard hot wheel, standard charging handle in the spares bag. Won't be needing them anymore. We're going to be changing the muzzle brake on the end here, so get rid of that. That in the spares bag. We're going to be changing the inner barrel and hop unit, so we need to start by taking the rail apart as well so that we can separate it from the receiver. It's a good idea to take all of them out because it makes it easier to get the barrel spacers to slide down into the outer barrel. So that's the rail. Try and remember what order the screws are in, because that one, that one, that one and that one are all 8mm screws, I believe, whereas these three are only 6mm. If you get them mixed up, the barrel screws mixed up with the receiver screws, it will interfere with your bolt assembly and your gun won't work properly. And as soon as you take this off, you have to be very careful not to lose your clicker assembly, which is a small spring and brass clicker. Now, I've previously had this gun apart and I can see that I've already put some blue tack on the spring and clicker, which stops it kind of dropping out of the hole in the rail when you take it off. So I'm actually going to leave that out because I might be changing the brass clicker for a biro mod, which is where you get rid of the soft brass clicker and replace it with the end of a ballpoint pen, which is much harder. So I'm going to put that to one side in the magnet dish. And now we need to undo the two screws on the barrel clamp. That's the barrel clamp. And then we can now separate the barrel and receiver. And you can see, again, I've already had this gun apart, so it actually already has a buffer pin fitted into it. You can see inside the receiver it's already got one of our buffer pins, so that's easy though. That just pushes out and then you slot the new one into place. Okay, in the receiver we've got the bolt stop just here. We're going to be removing that because we've got a nice shiny hardened bolt stop to go in. It's much more resistant to bending than the standard one. So now that I've removed the hop unit, I can just push that pin out and pull the bolt stop and the little spring out from inside. We'll drop the standard bolt stop into the spares bag and gonna get a little bit. Actually, I'm going to leave this out for a minute because I have another job to do on this receiver. I'm going to pause the camera because I'm going to go and helicoil these holes in the top of the receiver so that I can properly tighten down the rail when we put this gun back together. So by the magic of cinema, we shall go. Okay, through the magic of video editing, you can now see that this receiver now has 3 helicoiled screw holes in the top, and I've wiped any metal dust out of the inside, and I also made sure that because I used the 1D or 1 times the depth M4 by 1D thread inserts, that they don't protrude into the receiver. Okay, let's put the bolt stop back in. So I'm going to need a little bit of grease. This is metal on metal contact, so we're going to want some thick molybdenum or Teflon gun grease. Now, can I remember the trick to install this part? Yes, I can, because I designed it. So we get the little spring, hook it around the tab. We have a separate video for this, so get it in the slot like that. Push it to the back, put the pin in the hole, and then you kind of jiggle it around a bit until it goes in. Look at that, first try, there you go. That's the bolt stop in, and that's pretty much it for the receiver. So we're going to put the receiver to one side, and we're going to bring up the barrel next. So this has got all the original parts in it. It has the standard hop unit, standard KJW hop rubber, the brass 250mm in a barrel, which comes to about there. Then it has the rugby ball coupler, and then it has the tube that goes to the end. So if I pull this out, yep, there's your standard barrel, which only comes to there. And then you can hear it jiggling around. There it is. There's the rugby ball. So I get my calibrated tool for removing that. Another KC-02 in a barrel. I'm going to get it, and we're going to shove it down here. And then we're going to get the other one, and we're going to shove that down here as well. There we go. Ta-da! Get rid of that. So this all goes in there like that, and that is purely to limit the power output of the gun. It has a barrel which is shorter. That's like 250mm, and you can fit a 380 in here. So that is to limit the power output of the gun from factory. So we're not going to be needing that anymore, so we'll put that in the spares bin. Put the barrel over here for a second. We are going to be needing the barrel nut. That's the only thing that we're going to need from here. Ta-da! Barrel nut. We're not going to need that anymore. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye. We want this. So we'll pop that up here for now. And what I'm going to do is nip off and helicoil these barrel holes as well, so that we can, again, so we can tighten the rail down onto them. Back in a minute. Okay, we're back. Now the outer barrel has all thread insert screws. So we're going to need flamingo hop rubber, the barrel nut, hop unit, gold hotkey, because the hop rubber is a concave contact patch, so We need the gold one to go with it. Need barrel spacers, and we're going to need the inner barrel, which is a Crazy Jet 370mm. So we're going to get hot rubber out its wee baggie. Going to get a little bit of silicone grease, which we'll need in a minute. It's Abbey silicone gun grease. Right. I'm going to put the barrel spacers on first. You have to line these up with roughly where the spacers are not going to be. So you want there. So one in the middle, about there. That should be okay. And then you pop the barrel nut on, and I like to get the tiniest bit of silicone grease just to make sure the hot rubber sits nicely on the barrel. Make sure we get the keyway the right way around. That. A little bit on there. Slide that in. Forgot to get a Loctite stick. A little bit of that on there. Don't need much. Just pinch it a little bit with the spanner. Beautiful. Pop a bit of grease on the hotkey as well, because we don't want it to get stuck in there. Beautiful. Okay, that's the inner barrel assembled with the hot rubber in the hop unit. So now we can just slide this in here. There we go, beautiful. And you just want to make sure that the hop unit is sitting straight with the screws along the top of the barrel here, so that they go in a straight line. Okay, that is barrel assembly all done, receivers prepped. It is time to do the trigger mac parts. I am going to get a kitchen towel here because this can get greasy. So we have a separate video on this, so I'm not going to talk about this too much. So I'm going to remove the safety just by pushing it out. And you've got to try and catch the little ball. Here we go. spring, and we're not going to need the safety anymore. So they can go in the spares bag. And we're going to pull up the new bits that we want. Hammer spring, sears, hammer damper, trigger. Right, we're going to start with moving the guide rod, hammer spring. I'm going to push this pin out, which gives us the hammer, and then we're going to push this pin out, and we're going to carefully extract the trigger. You'll find I've already broken this trigger sear. That one's broken. It's advisable to remove the trigger before you try and push the safety out, otherwise you risk breaking your standard trigger sear. Though if you're replacing it, it's not the end of the world anyway. Be careful not to lose your plunger just here that resets your trigger. Right. We're not going to need the standard hammer spring anymore. That can go in the spares. We're going to need this hammer. We're going to separate the disconnector and the disconnector spring. We're not going to need the standard sear anymore, and we're not going to need the trigger anymore. Check these are nice and clean. Get the trigger pin. Oops. Get the sear. Make sure that pivots nicely. Yeah, seems good. Get the hammer. That's a little stiff. Could just be grease. So I'm going to get a bit of sandpaper and sand that hammer pin. We got some really fine stuff here. This is 800. Just give it a rub down. See if that's any better. Yep. A few seconds rubbing with sandpaper and it's exactly how we want it. I'm going to bring in the gun grease and we're going to check the trigger pins pivot nicely as well. That one's a little stiff. So we're going to do the same thing with this one. There we go, that's loosened up nicely now. disconnector. That one's okay, that one doesn't need adjusting. All nice and smooth, all good. Right, so we're going to reassemble our trigger. This should be on about 4mm. I'm going to get a micrometer to check. Yep, 4mm bang on. So we're going to reassemble the trigger itself first. So for that we'll need these two pins and that spring. I'm going to get some molybdenum grease. All these bits. Spring, put it there. Now we get that there. Which is not my practice. Not like that. Put it in there. Bang pin. And that. I'm going to put the grease on the itself. And I slide this in very carefully. And we just screw it over. Push this in down into it. Put the grease on pins. Again, you can fast forward all this because we have a whole video about assembling the trigger blades. Push the pins through. I've got excess. That should be the trigger working. And then we're going to get a bit of wire because we're going to do the hammer spring trick. Get this notch. Just 3 guide rods like that. And there's a shaved portion on the guide rod here that needs to be facing down when you put it in the gun. So the guide rod interference notch. And don't forget to put the hand over as well. That's what's in there. And feed the wire through the hand over and help back all through the neck. Like that. And for the rest and some on the end as well. Like that. So, usually down. Grease up down. And hammer to a pin. Like that. Good. Yeah. Right. Now we want to make sure the levers are up. Right. After some persuasion, we now have a working trigger with judgment hammer and sear, fang trigger, hammer damper, and the sniper hammer spring. It's a little sticky to begin with, but seems to be working fine now. That is the trigger mat good to go. Oh wait, we forgot the mag release. This can get a little greasy, so fire off the action. I'm going to pop that pin out. We need that spring. That can go in the spares bag. Man, there's a lot of stuff in that spares bag now. Okay, we're going to bring in the mag release. this tasty fellow. Put the oldie spring on there. Get some grease. Push her in place. Like that. Actually, before we do that, it's probably a good time to push the plunger in. Put some grease on that. Pop that back in. Put that in there. Pin through. And there we go. That's your Sabre mag release. Very nice. Okay, we'll pop that to one side. What is next? We need to install the bolt link charging handle in here, which is that piece. And we need to grease the inside of the receiver so that we can put the solid state bolt in. So I've got, what have we got we can use on this? We're going to want to grease the arid rod there. A bit more molybdenum. Get the spring on, whoops. And try and wipe some of that off. This stuff just goes everywhere. Get the charging handle on, and the best way is to grip it with pliers part of the way down, like so. Then bring it in, locate it in the notch, and let her rip. Like that. Okay. Now we're going to put the solid state bolt in. Now your power adjustment screws are in the top here. I've already done this one, but I'll show you because we're on video. So you've got to remove the 4mm locking grub, and then the power screw is the one underneath it. This one should be on about 2 turns ish. So you want to start with, you want to fully close it, and then open it, maybe 1 full turn. We'll do 1.5, shall we? Or 2, yeah, why not? We'll go 2. And then you get the locking grub and screw it back down on top of it. Like that. It's not going to be too tight, just a little bit. And I've got some more, another fancy grease here. This is Abbey Gun Lube, which is, I think it's a molybdenum base. It's an oil with molybdenum or Teflon particles suspended in it. It says shake well, so shake well I will. And we're going to put a couple of drops of this in here. One more. Use my old finger, spread it around a bit. inside surfaces of the receiver. Now, I'm not actually going to put the bolt in yet because we need to reattach the barrel and the rail to the receiver. So let's get our barrel ready. Get rid of the paper towel for a minute. Clear a bit of space. And swap that in. Like that. Put the barrel rail back on first. And a little hop adjuster grub clicker to go back in there. Like that. You'll notice this receiver has already had its rear tang cut off as well. That's so it will fit in the stock. Now, the threads, everything. Time the threads through that way. I'm sure the threads. I know the other time this rail properly like this. The north thread that the receiver got just thread straight out. Okay, right. So that's the rail tightened up, and now we can do the barrel clamp. Okay, I think that's the receiver something to do. Right. Let's get the solid state bolt in there. Pull it back. And there we go. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Lovely. Now that is pretty. Okay, what's next? I think it is put it in the stock and get the underlever attached. So let's get the trigger mech back on. Get the two pins. Come on. Why is this one being stubborn? There we go. We bring in the stock. We're going to get this sucker installed. Oh, I've lost a pin already. There we go. Very nice. Let's get ourselves the main body screw, get that installed. Remember, this is the 25mm screw now. flush in the receiver. Very good. Alright. Let's get the hop wheel. Get that installed. Check it's all lined up before we go screwing it in there, so it looks like it. Lovely stuff. Trigger's still working, that's fine. Okay. Let's bring in parts for the main event. These two, and we're going to need these tiny bits. So we're going to do a little bit of assembly first. Let's actually use the pen. Yeah, it's on, it's all pivots nicely. It's those, that's it's not like that around, so that's one up again. We don't want much on these, we'll just start off assembly bullshit, leave it in. So try it out these. So if you have one, come on down. So you can see this bit. Here's the still got one here. One, two. And then we're going to bring in the clamp and another 20mm M4 or M5, I can't remember now. And we're going to want a bit of grease on here where the pivot goes. So we're getting more of our molybdenum grease. Put some, yeah. There's like well. Right. Back to the track, actually. Right. Let's get this cowboy installed. To loosen that off when we're putting it on. Like that. Now loosely put the little M3 nut on there. And then we're going to turn it upside down. We're going to get the clamp, which is probably easier to see from this side. We're going to put the clamp piece in there. And you put the screw through this side. Get it started. Keep your thumb on it. Tighten the sucker up. Now we're going to tighten that down. Very nice, very nice. Check that's tight, and then what we want is bolt to be all the way forward, and you tighten these with it in the closed position. Again, these are only M3s, they don't have to be mega tight. You're not trying to strip the threads here. Just make them all about the same tension. There we go. That is it. Let's go in the middle of the screen here. Beautiful. Let's check everything's okay. Very nice. How does that look from above? Beautiful. Finishing touch for the barrel. And there we have the finished article. I suppose we could finish it off with a nice optic. Something we have laying around, you know. How about this? Pro-Lite M21. There we go. Looking with a mag in. And that's it. Job done.